like, ooh, I texted last, or ooh, I don't want to double text, or ooh, I texted in the last 2 hours. I don't care. If you're gonna like be with this person, I want it to be comfortable to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I don't know, I'll just text and ask.
Seanydoo. Hello, and welcome to Situations podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka Seanydoo. You can call me Sean, Seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here, and I have a special guest here. My guest is a phenomenal dating coach. She is a MBA. She, has so many accolades to her: author, columnist, like former Economist and Pun Champion. That is awesome. Please welcome to the show, Erika Ettin.
Thank you. That was a fun intro. I liked it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And I appreciate you coming onto the show and just blessing our listeners with all the dating advice. We really need it over here.
Anyone who has a show name that's like a fun portmanteau that also includes their name gets a yes from me. So.
Yes. We love that. We have a little catchphrase over here. We say go all the way the fuck off. Instead of go off, we go all the way the fuck off.
I love it.
Awesome. And so, today, everyone, we're going to be talking about, how we can all become better daters and, especially in this modern era of dating on the apps. We know it's frustrating. We all are going through it. We'll also be talking about how to handle rejection, even just identifying different relationship dynamics and so much more. And we also have some hinged and unhinged dating app submissions that you all have been submitting. So yeah, you're going to be hearing from a professional on what she thinks of all of that. So yes. And don't forget to subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/situationspodcast. And there you can see behind the scenes content, bonus episodes, all that good stuff. All right. But so Erika, tell me, as far as being like a dating coach and just helping so many people, I just want to know, what is that like?
Wow. That's a broad question, but I like it. It's rewarding in so many ways. Like if I can help somebody get out of their own way, whatever that means to them or to me, I'm happy. If I can get someone a little bit outside their comfort zone to meet someone they wouldn't have necessarily met otherwise, I feel like I've done a good job. It's funny. It veers sometimes into, I'm not a therapist, but it feels like, I veer into therapy territory sometimes. So it's really interesting too, seeing things about people that they're not necessarily comfortable sharing with their friends or, their family, that I get to see like the intricacies of what makes people. That could be good or bad, depending on the day. But no, I love my job. I love working with people. As you said, I used to be an economist. So big career change almost 14 years ago. And I didn't feel like I could make a difference. And just knowing you've impacted somebody's life how could you not like that?
Absolutely. Love that so much. So Erika, you're based over in New York. So, I love New York. I've been there a few times. Big Apple. Love it. Tell me, what are some of your favorite things to do in New York?
Oh, well, I could answer this question. So I lived in Washington, D.C. for almost 20 years before I moved here. And so I always knew I wanted to move to New York. I think I just needed a bigger playground. I'm an extrovert. I like to do a million things at all times. And I was right. So my big thing is theater. So I go to a show once a week. I take myself on a little date every Sunday afternoon to, I guess not today, but to a show. And there's just so much to do. I love that in any neighborhood, you could find the best of fill in the blank. You want the best, this type of cuisine. There's 20 of them. I could be at 50 different comedy shows tonight if I wanted to be. And so I don't know. I just love that there's always activity if you want.
Absolutely. I love, seeing a show on Broadway and just, soaking in the arts and everything.
Mhm.
I'm a musical theater actor myself, so just
Oh my gosh. Okay. What's your favorite show that you've been in?
favorite show is Rent, and and I've done that twice. I played
Oh my God.
Collins.
Amazing. And then what's your favorite show you haven't been in?
Ooh, favorite show that I haven't been in. I want to say probably Hades Town.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and then Hamilton.
Okay. Well, obviously that's a good one too. How many times have you seen Hamilton?
3.
Okay. I think I'm at 3 or 4 also.
Yes, yes. Yeah, like New York is just definitely such a vibe, beautiful city, you know.
I just love it. Yeah. This is going to sound so corny, but when I moved here, the week I moved here, you know how I like in TV shows, sometimes there's a hologram of a person and then there's the person and then they walk into their hologram and they're like a complete person.
Yeah,
I know it sounds so cheesy, but that's how I felt when I moved here. I felt like, I make sense now. This accent, this hair, this personality, this weird job. Oh my gosh. I'm like normal here. Whereas opposed to in DC, I mean, I am eccentric, but like I was very strange for DC. I was way outside the mold. And here, the mold is so there is no mold. So I'm like normal, but in the best way because everyone's a little weird.
absolutely. Yes, yes, that's so true. Yeah, I feel like you know, like the art scene in general, and then just people in general. Yeah, like it's everyone is interesting. We all have our quirks. We all have like things that make us
Yeah.
unique, and I think that's what makes us, you know, just
Dawn, we may be singing a duet later. We'll see.
yes.
See how the day goes.
Right. Yeah, and you know, I like one thing about New York too is just, like that I kind of realize is flying from New York to like LA or back and forth. Sometimes I realize it's. I hate how long of a flight it is because I used to be in Chicago. I literally just moved to LA maybe like back in August, and so.
Okay.
You know, I miss like the, you know, what is it, like a 3-hour flight or whatever from Chicago to New
Yeah.
York.
Oh well.
Yeah. That's what I get for coming out here to pursue the arts.
How dare you?
Right. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on the dating scene in New York? Is it as unhinged as everyone over there is saying?
No. me be
Ooh,
clear.
no. Okay.
Most major cities are exactly the same. People just love complaining about, well, everything, but people like complaining about dating in their own city. Why? Because it takes away their own accountability. So, yeah, you're going to find terrible people in New York, in LA, in Chicago. You're going to find incredible people in New York, in LA, in Chicago, in fill in the blank city. Now, every city's got its quirks, especially like LA traffic, New York, people don't want to date Brooklyn to New Jersey. Chicago's got its own stuff. So every city has its quirks in terms of just like how the actual city is set up and, people's strange things about location. But beyond that, it's pretty much the same as any other city. If you put in hard work, you can meet great people. It's very easy to say dating in my city sucks. It's
Yeah.
much harder to put in the work and actually experience it.
That's wow. Yeah, that's so true. It's like pretty much like redirecting like, you know, one's like, yeah, viewpoint on
Yeah. I
like,
mean, if you moved, you're not going to see a difference unless you moved from like a major city to a rural area where there just aren't as many people. Sure, that experience is going to be different because there just simply aren't as many people. But other than that, I have truly not, even abroad, I work with a lot of people in London too, or, some in Sydney. Same stuff. People are people.
absolutely. Yeah. No, that's I'm glad that you brought that up too, that, not only just people, in the US, but you coach people literally all over the world. So it sounds like it's a universal
Exactly.
problem.
It's pretty neat for me to learn. It's funny. Like I said, most times it's exactly the same. Now, are there cultural differences? Sure. Have I worked with people in countries I've never been to and I don't know specific lingo and I don't know, sometimes different apps are more popular in different countries than others. That, sure, there's plenty of nuance there. But beyond that, again, at their core, people are the same everywhere.
Exactly. Yes. And for the people listening and watching, I definitely think that that helps a lot. Like, just knowing that, hey, they're not alone. It's literally
Right. And I'm
everyone.
not taking away the fact that dating can be frustrating sometimes. It can be frustrating for anyone in any location. I just don't think it's the city. I think there are things about the dating apps that can make dating frustrating. There are things that, with so many options, yeah, it might seem like people are always looking for the next best thing. That's not New York. That's people. That's technology. That's this society of like instant gratification and never being satisfied and always wanting more, 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 better, better, better. That's not a New York
Absolutely.
thing.
Oh yeah. And even just with like the increase in like dating apps and like more people are on it, now we have more, Gen Z like are now on dating apps and stuff like that. So it's just, yes, a lot more people on the apps than there were, even 5 years ago. So of course that kind of creates more of that complexities. And then,
Well, yeah, and people complain about behaviors, and then I actually see those people who are complaining doing the behaviors they're complaining about, like not answering people in a timely fashion and not carrying a conversation and not putting themselves out there. And it's like you're not going to get the results you want if you're not putting in the work to get the results you want, and then while simultaneously complaining about it. And again, I don't want to say that it's not frustrating. It can be very frustrating, but I consider my job giving people the tools to make them better at dating, better at using the dating apps, better at putting themselves out there.
absolutely. Yeah. And even then, like, do you think like the dating apps kind of create a little bit of that? Well, we have options or whatever, because, I can just endlessly swipe.
Sure. I mean, there's the paradox of choice. I think Barry Schwartz was the person who wrote about that, where basically the more choices you give people, one, it's harder to make a decision, and two, they're less satisfied with their choice. And there's a very famous study, I think it was jam or ketchup or something, jelly, I don't remember, where they gave one group of people 6 choices and the other 24 choices. And the group with the 6 choices were much happier. One, made decisions much more easily, and two, were much happier with their choice. The group in the 24 didn't even buy the stuff because they're like, overload. I don't know what to do. And that's what happens with online dating sometimes.
Absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yeah. So, it definitely kind of reminds us all that, yeah, we do have to be way more intentional about, how we're approaching dating.
Exactly. Easier said than done. I totally understand.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Like, are there like any like funny or like unhinged, like, like dating stories or even experiences, even from like your own past or like that you like to share with us?
Oh boy. Sure. I mean, I can tell you my shortest date in the history of dates. This is many, many years ago, but I still remember this one. And, I'm proud of myself for leaving, and I would have encouraged anyone else to leave too. The date was a Sunday evening at 8 or 8:30 p.m. Maybe an hour or two before, he texted me and asked if we could push to 9 p.m. Fine, I don't care. So I get there at like 8:58. So I'm early for the new later time. He's already
Ah,
there having a beer, which I found rude, because if you're one, you push the time back, and two, I'm on time. Wait for me to order your drink. I think that's common courtesy. Okay. So that's number one. So we sit down at the table. It's a table adjacent to the bar. So he asks me, we say hello. He says, "Oh, what would you like to drink?" How do you interpret that question? What would you like to drink?
yeah, it's very. The fact
No,
the fact that he
what do you
already
think?
has like a drink too, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think he's actually like? I assumed when he said, "What would you like to drink?" that I would answer, and then he would go up to the bar and order said drink. I
Yeah.
assumed that's why he was asking what I wanted to. I said, "Oh," I looked at the bar. I said, "Oh, I'll have a whiskey. Thank you."
Yeah.
And we both just sat there. And I was like, and he was like, "Do all men buy you drinks on dates?"
Oh, wow. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I said, "First of all, who's talking about payment? You asked me what I wanted. I assumed to order it. We're not talking about payment." And then I said, "But since you asked, yeah, they do." And he goes, "This isn't going to work." I said, "You're right." And I left.
Oh no, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But
Oh, it was the shortest. It was fine.
but at least you didn't waste like time
Yeah, I
and
went
energy.
home and got things done. It's fine. Sunday night after all.
That's so wild that he just sat there and didn't even like at least.
It was so innocuous too. Like if you like rolled up and I said, "Oh, what would you like?"
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, exactly. I'd
It's
be like,
probably
oh
because
yeah.
I'm going to order it.
Exactly.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? But it was so silly.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that, like that you never have to deal with that ever again.
Anyway.
So, so even just kind of going back to, you just being in so many different like news outlets, publications, podcasts, just so many media outlets, just sharing like, your dating advice. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you're helping so many people by just, again, just being literally everywhere all at once. Like, what is that like? Yeah.
I mean, I like having a platform to be able to give my advice. It's nice when I can say one thing in a video and it reaches a lot of people, because I do tend to say the same thing over and over, right? So if I can say the one thing and it reaches a lot of people through your podcast, through other podcasts, then yeah, of course, I'm happy to be sharing that. I also love writing. And so I've always loved writing, and I certainly didn't get to do much creative writing in my job as an economist. So I'm happy now I get to not only write people's profiles, which I do every day, but also write articles, basically similar stuff to what I talk about, but just in written form, perhaps with some more specific examples. I really enjoy that too. So I have a column. I never actually know where it ends up because it gets distributed through the Chicago Tribune, but it goes to small papers around the country. It's just a syndicated column every week. So it's fun. I have a Google alert on myself. It's fun when it pops up. I'm like, oh, cool, Minneapolis or like Sacramento or Honolulu. I don't know.
That's amazing.
But again, the advice is always the same.
Exactly. That's awesome. And even
I did have one irate person once call me from Duluth. Wait, where's Duluth again? Minnesota? Duluth. Anyway, I wrote an article about preference versus prejudice. And it was definitely on the edge of controversial, but I think it skirted it pretty well. And I was just talking about, like, when you say you have a dating preference, where is that line, before it becomes a prejudice? And I didn't draw any conclusions necessarily. It was basically an article telling people to think about their choices and why they're making those choices.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do live in New York. Like, I would consider myself liberal, but there was nothing in the article that was in any way political. Anyway, it was the only time ever I got this voicemail. I don't know how he found me, this irate man being like, you and your liberal bullshit. And I'm like,
oh God.
I felt like I made it that day. Haters gonna hate. You made it when you have a hater.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah. That guy probably felt some type of way because because
it hit home for him.
Exactly. I'm about to say he's the main offender. Yep.
Exactly. The article was for him.
Oh goodness. Trying to improve your skincare game? Guess what? I got a little something for you. You can improve the health of your skincare with the Vogue approved. Yes, you heard that right. Vogue as in Vogue magazines, the models. Yes, that Vogue. The Vogue approved beauty product, Herbal Face Food, the most potent anti-aging, multi-correction skincare product on the market. Yes. So hit that link in the show notes or video description and use our code SPHFF to get 20% off at checkout. Visit herbalfacefood.com to get started. That's herbalfacefood.com. All right. And use code S as in Sam, P as in pineapple, H as in Henry, F as in Frank, F as in Frank to get 20% off at checkout. That's SPHFF to get 20% off. All right. herbalfacefood.com. Okay. Y'all got the hookup, so let them know that Situations podcast sent you. All right. And so, yeah, I want to know, like, even though, so you have an Instagram page called A Little Nudge, and it's very viral. Like, everyone like knows about it. Like they know you, like the first time, like someone says a little nudge, or someone says like Erika, like, wait a minute, hang on, wait a minute. I know Erika Ettin. Wait a minute. So, just making like your presence known on social media. Like, I just want to know, like, what led to like your passion overall, just for like, getting into like dating coaching and even just putting that online.
Question. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the social media, like the Instagram, I've only built up over the last, say, 4 years, but I've had my business for almost 14. So I do find it funny what people see as quote success. Because I've run a successful business for the last 14 years. It just became a little more noticeable to people in the last 4 or 5. So I do find it funny. I do more coaching now than I used to. Whereas before it was a lot of profile writing and things like that. But anyway, how did I get into it? I was a really early adopter of online dating. I started in 2001, believe it or not. Nobody did online dating in 2001. There were no apps yet. There were no smartphones yet. But, I thought it seemed like an interesting way to meet people. Of course, my parents flipped out. They're like, you're meeting strangers on the internet, So anyway, I did it on and off, over the years. And because my background's in economics and I really enjoy measuring things, I started a spreadsheet of my own online dating experience. And initially, I started the spreadsheet so I didn't accidentally write to the same person twice. Because at the time, there were usernames. So it wasn't just like Erika, Sean. It was like Fun Guy LA, like Cheese Pizza 12, stuff like that. And so I didn't accidentally want to write to Cheese Pizza 12 twice. I mean, how many cheese pizzas can you have? And so then I realized maybe I can measure things in here. Like, what's my response rate? If I write to somebody, what's the probability that this person's going to write back to me? Wait a minute. What's my conversion rate? If this person writes back to me, what's the probability we go on a date? And I made little tweaks to my profile and my messages to the point where I had really high both response rates and conversion rates. That's when my friends started asking me, like, what are you doing that I'm not? So I started writing their profiles and giving them advice and, telling them how to get from the messaging to the dating. And it was working. And so I was pretty unhappy in my job at Fannie Mae at the time as an economist. I was doing mortgage finance. And I really enjoyed helping people. I've always been an extrovert. I love working with people. So in April 2011, I quit my job and started A Little Nudge, helping people with online dating. And that's what I do to this day.
Wow. All right. We love that. Go all the way the fuck off. To go to Plug City real quick. Speaking of go all the way the fuck off, get your go all the way the fuck off t-shirts. You'll see it pop up right here on the screen. Go to situationspodcast.com, click on the merch tab and get that shirt.
That's fun. I want a t-shirt.
Absolutely. I got you.
All right.
So also, I had noticed too that, you're a lover of puns. I want to know, tell me about that.
Oh my gosh. I love puns. I don't know how I got into it, but there are pun competitions, which you wouldn't know until somebody tells you because it's ridiculous and amazing at the same time. So maybe in like 2017, someone sent me that there was a pun competition in DC. And I'm like, this exists? How did I not know about this? And then I went in the rabbit hole of discovering more pun competitions. So now I do several. There was the one in DC. I do one in New York called Punderdome. There's a national one in Austin every year. Maybe we will pan to my trophy back here. Anyway.
That's awesome.
So I just love wordplay. To me, it's similar to puzzles. It's similar to, I used to code. Like it's all similar. You're taking things apart and putting them back together. And I don't know. I love wordplay. I love puns. It just, I don't know. It like gets to a part of your brain that you don't get to access very often. It makes me really happy.
Absolutely. I love that.
Thanks. It's really, it's such a niche, but I've made so many good friends at pun competitions because it's like a strange humor that most people don't share. So when you find people who not only don't make fun of you for making puns, but who actually applaud your puns, you're like, yes, please be in my life.
Right, exactly. That's why I got brownie points for having Situaseans in my.
Yeah, I told you. I love the name of your podcast. It was going to be a yes because of the name.
Yes. And so, yeah, so even just like seeing like on your social media, just like, like people reaching out to you for advice, of course, and like, how they even just anonymously just share like their, situations and stuff like that. They like their dating wins and fails. I kind of want to know like what's like the wildest like dating fail or even like success like that you've ever come across.
I don't know if it's a wild dating success or fail, but when I knew this question was coming, this is the only one I thought of a story in advance. Okay, so I offer a free 20-minute consultation to anyone who's considering working with me, just so we can chat. And I have this consultation one morning. It was like, I don't know, 9:30 or 10. And the woman was like whispering. And I'm like, oh, are you at work? Because that happens sometimes. And she's like, no, I have a guy over right now. And I'm like, okay. She's like, but I didn't want to cancel our consultation, but it's pretty new. And I'm like, this is hilarious. She goes, yeah, also we both follow you. So I told him I was having the call with you. I'm like, this is the funniest thing I have ever heard. Anyway, like a month later, she DM'd me. She's like, so I don't need you. I'm still seeing him. And I'm like, that's wonderful. Like I loved that so much.
She's still like,
so he was like laying in bed while she was on the call with me.
Oh my goodness. I was gonna say, oh, like, like he could have like popped from around the corner and said hello, but the fact that
I was gonna like say put him on, but I decided to guess.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. I love that. Well, I hope that they're still out there dating each other and finding happiness together. Yeah. Yeah, and for those like listening and watching, like definitely take a look at Erika's, Instagram page. You'll see like, the advice that she's offering and helping people. Like she is a phenomenon.
That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, I kind of want to know like what are some ways that you think that we can all just be better daters, especially like in this modern era on the apps, and even just kind of how we were talking about earlier, how we all have that power of choice.
Yeah, I think part of it I'll start with is attitude. So you were saying before, everyone complains about New York being terrible, right? It's a mindset shift. If you believe that someone out there, that you'll meet someone, let's say in the next year, I truly believe you can make that happen. Not by just thinking it, not by putting it into the universe, but by actually putting work in. So the first is changing your mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. Like there's not enough people, there's this, there's that. It's more, I'm going to put in the work and give myself the best possible chance to meet that person. I may not, but I know that I've done everything in my power to create success for myself. So that's the mindset shift. And so I love measurable goals. I'm not saying anything new. I love math. I love economics, measurable goals. So what might be some measurable goals to improve your dating life? I would say one is to be on 2 dating sites or apps, okay? Whichever 2 you prefer. 2 would be to actually log into them and use them. I don't want you to go crazy. I don't want you swiping for 5 hours a day. How about 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening? That's what I recommend. That way you can't be addicted to it, but you're making sure you get back to everyone in a timely fashion, especially on Bumble where you only have 24 hours to write back to somebody initially. Also, I recommend going to 3 in-person events per month. I don't care what those are. They could be a speed dating. They could be some sort of mixer or just a comedy show or a podcast recording or just something where you make a pact with yourself to talk to one new person. Just 3 things to get yourself out of your comfort zone. Maybe you tell your friends, hey, my 2025 goal is to be set up with 3 people. Help me in that endeavor. Give them a reward. Tell them you'll buy them dinner. You'll buy them a bottle of their favorite drink. You'll give them a gift card. I don't know. Give people incentives to help, right? So do all of the things that you can possibly do to give yourself the best chance of success. So yeah, that's my answer.
Love that. Absolutely. I definitely agree because, yeah, just being able to get out there, socialize, interact with other people. Like, yeah, you never know who you might run into because like, even just like, for example, like, yeah, like you said, like even going to like a mixer, you'll meet somebody out that you probably wouldn't have never met like in any other context. And it probably could have been somebody that you probably would have filtered out on the app.
Absolutely. In person, we're way less judgmental about height or about physical appearance or about this particular, level of education or this particular job type. People are so, I don't know. I don't want to use the word picky, but I kind of want to use the word picky. People are so judgy online, whereas they would never know this stuff in person.
Absolutely. I definitely agree.
Because the information is there doesn't mean you have to use it.
Yes. And there's even like, what is like that? There's like an app for like just different like group meetups. I think it's called Meetup. Yeah.
Meetup.
Yeah.
Meetup. I mean, there's lots of, there's a few speed dating companies that I know of. There are a few singles groups. There are a few groups that are just not necessarily for singles, just for bringing people together who want to meet in any context, platonic or romantic. If I work with someone, we actually go through my list of ideas. I mean, I have my whole Post-it note of ideas, companies to look up so that you can meet someone. And that's something I do with a lot of clients. We'll actually spend one session just talking through events they can sign up for. I'll probably make them sign up for 3 while we're on our call and then report back to me on how it went.
Wow. All right. Yeah, you're just like helping everyone in every way, shape, or form.
I do what I can. I can't change people's attitudes. I can give suggestions, but what I can do is give a lot of tangible steps.
Absolutely. And even just, when we were talking about filters and stuff like that, one thing that I did kind of notice too. So, how like Hinge like has like that, filter, I guess most dating apps these days have like those filter options, but I guess Hinge is like one of the outliers where it's like, you can like filter out like certain words or whatever that people have on their profile. And I think that's,
it's actually not in your profile. It's just if they message you with one of these words, you can basically hide them.
Yeah.
But Hinge still tells you like we've hidden this person. Like you can still look at the person. So basically not a lot of people use that function. It's called the hidden words function. I mean, if you want to put something in there like sexy or like eggplant emoji, like go crazy, but I don't think it actually does a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
I like the concept of the hidden words, but yeah, there could be some, like if someone really enjoys making eggplant parm, which they would be really dumb to use the eggplant emoji, but I suppose it could happen.
Right. Just someone like I can imagine like on the Hinge prompt, what if I told you that I like eggplants or whatever, but they think it's something.
I know. I could see someone.
I feel like my aunt or it's like someone in the older generation.
That's what I was picturing. I was picturing like parents being like, "I love a fresh, juicy peach from the farmer's market."
Exactly.
Oh, no.
I love peaches and eggplants.
Oh, Aunt Suzanne, don't do it.
The responses that they would get.
Exactly. Exactly. Although I will say, okay, on that note, I do recommend for my female clients who are searching for men, I don't recommend anything even remotely, mildly could be misconstrued as sexual in the profile. I don't let them put anything about cuddling, kissing, baths, massages. Not because nobody deserves disgusting messages, obviously, but I want to give them the best chance of not getting them. And when you put that stuff in there, we all know there are some gross people out there who are like, ooh, massages, I'll massage you. Ooh, I want to be in the bath with you. That's not going to stop those gross people, but I'd like to minimize it. And so we don't include anything like that in the profile.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good strategy. And even just among like the different dating apps, like I know like even in like my own dating past Hinge was probably the one, like Hinge and maybe Bumble were probably like the top two where I found like the most, I guess, quality of dates. But yeah,
I find that my male clients do better on Hinge than anything else.
Yeah. And so
because you have the power to write the first message.
Absolutely. Do you think with the new, with like, I guess like Bumble now kind of opened it up where it's like now, guys can also kind of start the conversation? Yeah. Like, do you think, I guess
They
just
don't
from,
usually, but they can.
right. Exactly.
Far too often it happens where two people match. That's it. I can't finish that sentence because there's no more to that sentence, and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
I see people with matches from years ago in Hinge where one person liked, the other person liked back, no conversation. I don't care who the heck starts just start a conversation.
Exactly. And I remember like even in my past, what I would do is like, so I would like, initiate at least like 90% of the conversations, especially if, and so what I would do is like, I would notice something like on their profile. Let's say they have pictures of them traveling to like different destinations and stuff like that. I would say, oh, hey, like, like such awesome photos of like your travels. Like, like if all the places that you've gone, like, are there any favorites or any upcoming?
That's a great first message.
Yeah.
So I recommend for the first message, finding something in the other person's profile, making a statement about it like you just did, and then asking a question like you just did. That's perfect. I generally recommend if there is something they've written that you could write about versus a picture, especially as a guy, if you're reaching out to women, I would rather you write about something she's written. But if a picture really speaks to you, go ahead and do the picture. So for example, anything. Like if someone talks about, they like to garden, since I was now thinking about the eggplants and the peaches. You can say something like, I'm really impressed that you have a garden in the city. Is it on your roof? That's a decent, actually pretty good opener.
Absolutely. Exactly. Because it's like, like where else? Yeah. Like where else?
Where are they?
Is that?
I can't even keep
especially in New York.
My one plant right now, and it's been on its last legs for the last week. A garden is not in my future.
I've only had like one plant or whatever, because typically I would like try to like keep it to like one or two plants, because I do not have a green thumb to like save my life.
No, I have what's the opposite of green thumb? A brown thumb.
Exactly.
I have that.
Yeah, same. And the one plant that I had, like a little succulent or whatever, I named him Fitzgerald. I kept him alive for like a good. He was such a cute little guy.
That you name your plants. If you put that you named your plant in your profile, that would be a really good thing to have in there, because that's fun and it might generate a conversame. Guess what I named my succulent?
Yeah. Done. That's wow.
I would be like, obviously fern, but anyway, I would be wrong.
Y'all hear that? Like there's some advice right there, some free advice, Erika, she'll send her Venmo after this.
Exactly. Erika Ettin. Anyway.
If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Like hit that 5-star review, because, and I do read all the reviews, because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how, this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. Yeah, so like, one thing that definitely comes across, especially just on dating apps in real life, is boundaries. Mm-hmm. I want to know,
that's the keyword now. I feel like it's a little overused, but yes, boundaries are obviously very important.
Oh, absolutely. And even like what are some ways that, we can all kind of just be better about kind of communicating those boundaries and needs and wants, especially somebody that we're interested in or seeing?
You have any examples? What's a boundary example?
Absolutely. So like, let's say, someone's like, well, I don't like to date after like certain hours or like on certain days, or, or even just like, let's say someone has a past where like, someone hurt them in some way, shape or form. And so they're already kind of writing off the next person because they're trying to protect themselves, as far as like, I don't know, like let's say somebody like cheated on somebody, and then like in the next relationship, someone's like, well, you have to respond to me like, like within the hour, because like, someone who doesn't do that is probably a cheat. I'm just giving,
that seems a little unreasonable, but if there's a reasonable one, like I really don't want to talk on the phone after 11 p.m., just say it. I really prefer not to talk on the phone after 11 p.m. We can't make people respect our boundaries, but we can at least put them out there. So if someone repeatedly calls you at midnight, they're not respecting your boundaries. At that point, you have to decide, do I cut them off because they're not listening, or do I accept what they're giving me?
Absolutely. And this is something too that like I've noticed even just like in my own life in the past was I remember like when I was like, like out there dating, I would say probably serial dating because like I had went on like, I don't know, like 100 and like, 80 something dates. Like if I had to like count it up, because what I would do is I would like put like a rose icon or whatever on like my Google Calendar so that I could, kind of just keep track of like the dates that I was going on. Cause it was like average, like 2 to 3 dates a week or whatever.
Okay, great.
Times like 5 years or whatever. So, anyway, so what I had noticed was like, when I was first on the dating apps, I noticed that like, I would kind of like let go of some of my own boundaries or kind of ignore like red flags or whatever, because I was like, well, this person
like
seems,
what?
well, example, let's say someone was like very inconsistent. Like they would say one thing, do another, but I would be so interested in that person or I would kind of, or interested in the potential.
You were interested because they acted more aloof? Anyway, we don't need to get into
Yeah, no, for sure.
I do think sometimes we are more interested in people who are inconsistent because somehow, even though it's wrong, we perceived them as busier or as more sought after or as a higher sort of level of prize than someone who gets back to us in a timely fashion, which is sad. But anyway, keep going.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was just about to say that exact same thing. So I know that I definitely have fallen victim to that because I'm like, well, I like, like this person's really interested. Or this person's really cute or, like, we
accept less than we know we deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we've all done that before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's important.
Hard. It's really hard. I remember once a long time ago, I was, I guess we'll say very casually seeing someone I really liked, and he was extremely inconsistent. And I remember there was one night where we didn't have concrete plans, but I knew we were seeing each other. And I texted earlier in the day and said, what's the timing like for later? And he was like, oh, well, I'm going to a birthday party first, so I can try to see you after. And I thought, screw that. We've had plans on the calendar for this night for over a week. Either invite me to the party or like tell me it made me feel like crap. And so I was really proud of myself, and I would advise anyone to do this. I remember texting him, and this could have been even before I had the business. I said, I really feel like an afterthought.
Yeah. Wow.
And he said, I understand.
Wow.
And that told me everything I needed to know. I was an afterthought.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't be sorry. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And then the question is, do you go back for more of being an afterthought or do you not? And unfortunately, a lot of people will accept that because they think that's all they get, or they like this person so much that they'll lower their standards for them. And it's hard. It's hard in the moment to one, accept that, and two, be the stronger person you need to be, because they're not going to cut it off. They get exactly what they want with you. They get you on their time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's important to like, sever those connections if it's not, if it's hurting you in the end.
It's hard though.
Yeah. My last relationship was definitely kind of like that because like I was giving way more of myself. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just, we were like arguing like pretty much every day.
That's not good.
Yeah. And she was very like invalidating. She would say, well, I don't feel this way, Sean, so neither should you. Just stuff like that.
Ooh, yeah.
And
no, it sounds like it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to leave.
And sometimes it's easier to see in hindsight. I think we all see things in hindsight that we could never see in the moment.
Right. Right. Yeah,
that our friends can usually see, or I might be able to see, but you can't see.
Right. Yeah. So everybody, value yourselves. You're important. You're worth it. Like just remember that, you all.
There's such a stark difference. You'll know immediately when you're in a relationship where you're truly valued, where someone makes the time for you, where you feel, I want it to be, sometimes I call it FTT, free to text relationship, where you can text the person you're seeing at any time and you'll get an answer. You might not get it immediately if they're busy, but it's not like, ooh, I texted last, or ooh, I don't want to double text, or ooh, I texted in the last 2 hours. I don't care. If you're going to like be with this person, I want it to be comfortable to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I don't know. I'll just text and ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And even just like speaking of like texting, like I know there's like, different texting dynamics. Like some people like text often, or there's people that take a while to get back to people.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I text everyone back within about 30 seconds. You'll see the timestamp is the same when you text me and I text you back. I am an obsessively fast texter. And you know what's funny? People have sometimes, I actually made a video on this that I haven't posted yet, but I had this at the end of a contract with a client. I'll have a call, like, how did things go? Whatever. And, everything was good. And then she was like, I really think you need to work on your boundaries. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you answer your text back to me like really fast.
Oh my.
And something I saw as good customer service, she was somehow seeing as a negative. And I thought about that for a minute, and I'm pretty comfortable with my boundaries, but why? Why was that perceived as a negative? Did it seem like I had nothing better to do? I have a million better things to do, but you're paying me, and so I'm going to answer you. I don't like things sitting there. I hate unread messages. It gives me agita. And so I don't know what the conclusion or the moral here is, but let's not discount people who actually get back to us in a timely fashion and value higher people who don't get back to us. And I'm sorry if I'm knocking on you because you just said you take a while to get back to me.
Absolutely. Exactly. And even, I definitely agree with like your stance and kind of like where you're coming from. And especially even in this, example, like this is a business transaction as far as like you and your client. So yeah, I agree. You should be able to get back.
Yeah, but even in dating, like, I'll be on with people and they'll be like, well, he waited this many hours, so I'm going to wait this many hours. If you're available to text back, just text back. If this person thinks less of you because you happened to be available to text back, it's not right. It's just not the right relationship then.
Right. Exactly.
I love when people text me back immediately. That's just how I operate.
Yeah. 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 I need to be better about it. Like I'm trying every day.
I don't understand what happened. Okay. Explain this to me. And I'm not picking on you. I just need to understand, as somebody who answers everything immediately when they get it, explain to me how it works. So you look at a text and then you're like, nah, or what? Like, I don't have time right now. And then what do you do?
Yeah. So I try to like remind myself, oh yeah, I have a message I need to get back to. Cause like pretty much like, well, I guess even just in my own example. So doing like, theater, like I also do music and stuff like that. And, podcasting, and then I travel for work for my day job. So I'm like, going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But anyway, so whenever I see like a message and then like, let's say I'm in the middle of something, let's say I'm like recording music where I'm in rehearsals, I'm like, well, I can't respond. I'll get back to them later. And then like, by the time like I remember, oh shit, like it's like, hours after the fact.
I can't relate, but I understand. I will say I do love, I wanted this for so long. And when iOS finally introduced mark text as unread, oh, I was so happy. Dream come true. Because if I can't answer in the moment, I will just mark it back as unread, so I never forget to answer. But also, there was this company, I don't know if they still exist, called Get Things Done, and I learned an important lesson from them. If something takes you 2 minutes or less to do it immediately right now. Don't put it off till later, because it'll take double that time, because you'll have to remind yourself what the heck you're even doing. So like now, if I get an email and I don't want to answer, but I know it'll take me under 2 minutes, I'll just answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I kind of like screwed myself a little bit, because even like, how you can like turn off certain notifications on your iPhone for certain apps or whatever. Okay. I've turned off like, I've like, how like I turned off notifications for like text messages. So instead of like, like the whole, what is it? Do not disturb mode. I don't even use that. I just like I went into the settings and turned off notifications. Okay, so you have to go in to see who's texted you. Exactly. Yeah. Cause like the messages just became too much because.
Oh, I'm getting stressed just listening. Like when I see people's phones, so I have people share their phone screen with me. That's how I watch them swipe on the apps, and that's how I help create the profile. Anyway, if I see a large number of unread text, email. I try to keep it to myself. I try not to show my stress that I am having through them. I don't know if I would call that vicarious. It's not what I want, though. So it's not vicarious. I don't know. But it's like, what is it when like the guy has like pregnancy pains? I have that when I see like sympathetic anxiety.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
But anyway, different strokes for different folks.
Absolutely. So even just going back to like dating and everything like that, I know that this is probably one thing that's sometimes hard for people to kind of get through, but how do we get better about like facing rejection, whether it's like, we're on a date or even just like talking to somebody on the app and someone like either is uninterested, they unmatch, or on a date and they say after the first date, sorry, I don't want to continue things. How do we get better about being like, okay, it's not personal to me. This is just, it just wasn't a match.
It's hard. Who likes rejection? It's hard. I mean, if it's before they know you, you have to remind yourself that they don't know you. They don't know you how great you are. If it's after a first date, while it's disappointing, and I understand feeling sad about it, you have to remind yourself, well, I've rejected people after the first date before, and that doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean they're unattractive. It doesn't mean anything other than that I just didn't feel it. So it's totally normal to feel disappointed. We're not ducks. We can't let it all roll off our back. But we just have to put things in perspective and say, you know what? At least they told me, and now I can move past it versus wondering.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good point.
The love of your life is not going to be the person who's not into you.
Right. And like I've been wondering too, I know this is a different question for everybody, but do you believe that there's like one person out there that's made for somebody? Yeah. Like
you?
No, because
how sad would that be, right?
Right.
No way. I think plenty of people can make us happy for different reasons. I think so much is just timing and where you are in life right now. And yeah, plenty of people can make you happy for different reasons. And I don't think any two relationships are going to feel the same. That's why I wouldn't compare them. Someone might be better at some things and worse at other things, but that doesn't mean you're going to be less happy. It just might feel different.
Absolutely. For sure.
No way. I don't believe in soulmates. I don't believe in anything like that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely like just an adjustment, like not even like not adjustment. I feel like it's a building block of building that foundation and relationship together. Cause like,
yeah. And it's also a choice. Like you're choosing to be with this person. I don't believe it's like, oh my God, I found that. You didn't pluck them out of the sky. You didn't find, like, you're also making the choice to be with this person because everyone's got what I call perceived flaws. Like everyone has a set of perceived flaws, whatever those mean to you. And I call them perceived flaws because they're not objective. Like a perceived flaw, for example, might be that I laugh really loudly. Someone might really hate that about me. It's a perceived flaw because someone else might love that, and people have, and some people haven't, and that's fine. And so everyone you're going to be with and who's with you has a set of perceived flaws. And in the end, it's which set can I live with and which can't I,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Someone doesn't turn off the lights before they leave. Someone might not care. You might care very much. That's a perceived flaw.
Right. And I've heard a case from like one of my friends that was dating somebody because like they, chewed loudly and they left like a wet towel or whatever. Like after like you dry yourself off out of the shower or whatever, they left like a wet towel on the bed or whatever. Okay. And the person that they were dating, like they wasn't cool with that, or like, you know what? No, I'm gonna just like break this off, and instead of just like talking to the person about that issue, I'm going to just break it off.
And the person might very well be like, oh my God, I didn't know that bothered you. I will work on that. Great.
Right.
People are very quick to cut things off for silly reasons.
Exactly. And then that person went right back to the apps to like just go to start swiping. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Find someone else who has another thing they don't like.
Yep.
Some things are worth working through or expressing. If the other person has no idea that they're doing something that bothers you, like I'd want to know if it's something a quick fix that doesn't offend me as like the core of my being, then tell me. If I left a wet towel out and it really bothered someone, I'd want to know.
Yeah, same. So yeah. You know, we gotta be better out there, folks. Come on, get it together.
You know, if they were disrespectful to my stuff and like trampled all over my stuff with wet feet, then we have a bigger issue.
Exactly. So these days, like one of like the buzzwords too is situationships or situationship.
Oh my God. Yes.
No, but you know, so we hear this on so many dating dating relationship podcasts, reels, wherever. It's just all over the place. I just want to know, like, it kind of seems like this is almost like the modern version of like a quote unquote relationship. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's basically a friend with benefits. All a situationship is, and it's just a word that people like because it's also a portmanteau. It's basically acting like you're in a relationship, but generally someone is not satisfied because the other person doesn't want to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is like another thing too, where like the boundaries kind of come back in where it's like, okay, you know, if one of the people in that dynamic is like, this isn't serving me or I want more, yeah, they should be able to like say that and explain it, like, you know, and talk about it.
But they're afraid to, because they're afraid if the other person says, no, I don't want that, they'll be left with nothing. And they would rather take crumbs than nothing. And I understand that it's hard to get out of a situation like that because you like this person. You're getting some of what you want, but you'll never get all of what you want. And it's basically like future you will thank present you if present you breaks up with this person, but it's hard to in the moment. And I understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
Situations podcast is an open platform covering dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. If you are looking to advertise your brand or product or would like to sponsor the show, send an email to situationspod@gmail.com. That's situaseanspod@gmail.com.
Why is it that people have, I guess, you know, especially we see this a lot with men, but being afraid of putting a label on a relationship?
I have no idea why people are so afraid of putting labels on things, because it says to the world, I've chosen this person, right? So there are way too many questions I get every week that are like, we're exclusive, but the other person won't put labels on it. What are we? Why this? I don't know the answers to the questions about your own relationship, okay? But what usually happens is you have a talk about exclusivity. Let's say it's a woman asking me this question about a guy. We had this talk about exclusivity. He said he wants to be exclusive, so we're exclusive, meaning we're not seeing other people, we're not sleeping with other people, but he won't put a label on it. He won't call me his girlfriend. He won't call me his partner, okay? He basically wants you off the market, keep you to himself, but doesn't want to say to the world, I'm in a relationship, because technically he could go out there and play the part of single.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I would rather the conversation about exclusivity cover all aspects of what you want. So not just are we going out with, are we sleeping with other people, but also what are we doing with our dating profiles? Are we taking them down? Are we just pausing them? What are you going to call me? How am I going to introduce you at this thing we're going to this weekend? Are you my boyfriend? Are you my partner? I want all of those things to be covered. And if you're not ready to label it, that's fine, but I wouldn't be exclusive first. And I understand people are like, but I want to try exclusivity before we put a label on it. I get it. But on the other hand, the beauty of life is that nothing is irreversible except death. So you can put a label on it today, decide in a week, oh, I'm not there, and change things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's about just communicating that.
I mean, when it comes down to it, most of my advice is, I don't know, ask the other person, tell the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get a lot of questions like, what did this person mean? I don't know. Just ask them.
Absolutely.
You know, I like doing that with an I can't tell. I can't tell, fill in the blank. I can't tell if you wanted to go out again. I can't tell what you meant by that. I have to ask at least 3 people a day. Are you being sarcastic? I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. I don't understand Maybe I understand it. I probably just don't like it. But I have to ask at least 3 people a day. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. Most of the time they are. I just want to clarify.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for sure, it's about just having those open conversations, just being
Exactly.
intentional. Yeah, for
If
sure.
you can't talk to the very person you're like being naked with, think about that. Think about why you can be intimate in some ways, but you can't be intimate verbally or emotionally.
Right.
There's something there.
And the way that I operate is because of the fact that I would want to be told exactly what I'm getting into, or what's going on. That's why even in my own life, I'm like, yeah, I want to be able to tell the person, like I said, like before I moved, whatever, I was like, I want to tell that person exactly what's going on, because I wouldn't want to be blindsided if it was me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So even with the courses that you kind of have with your clients and everything, so these are like one-on-one courses. Is there like I guess kind of like let us know like what does a session with you look like, and also how can other people get involved and sign up?
It can be I work one-on-one. It can be really anything. I mean, many people, we write their profiles together for whichever sites or apps. I'll help you with your filters. I'll watch you swipe. I'll write messages with you. I'll give you ideas like we talked about earlier on where you might want to go meet people in person. Sometimes people come with a situation they're already in and they want to discuss that. Some people come and they're in a relationship and they want to get out of it, and we discuss that. It's really tailored to everyone, but most people want to do a profile, some messaging, and really just make sure, and accountability. So like I have a package of 4 coaching sessions. People like that because at least for those 4 sessions, you can always renew if you wanted to do more, but at least for those 4 just like you clean up before the cleaning person comes, they know they're going to do their homework at least before they meet with me again. So it does hold you accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. And at least, people like that are, tuning in, like at least they'll have the comfort knowing that you'll respond to them like in 2 seconds. So.
Well, I do. And I am not kidding. And if you text me on the weekend, I will very politely say, can you text me again on Monday? Because I do try to have some boundaries.
How dare you have boundaries for yourself? What?
I do let clients text me if they do a coaching package between sessions, which obviously they really like because, I don't like to leave people high and dry.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of hinged or unhinged. All right. So this first one says, you should leave a comment if you want to enter the cuffing season draft.
You want to enter the cuffing season draft?
Yeah.
They're just trying to be funny. It's fine. I feel medium.
Yeah.
I feel mid.
Yes, very mid. Yes.
I don't have strong opinions on this.
Yeah, I'll give it a yellow flag. Yeah.
Fine, they think they're being funny. It's fine. Okay, next.
All right. So this next one says, I'm convinced.
Although I will say, okay, back it up. I will say no one wants to feel like they're a draft pick. They don't want to feel like they're one of many. So for that, I certainly wouldn't recommend answering a prompt like that. No one wants to feel like they're in competition with everyone else. Anyway, okay, next. Right.
Round 1, pick one. I'm just kidding. So this next one says, I'm convinced that I'm Delulu. I feel like we're all a little bit Delulu these days.
I don't like it.
I feel like
so these are prompts on Hinge.
Yeah, people have submitted these screens.
I mean, it's a bad answer.
Yeah. And my question is, what are people kind of expecting the response to be? Like, sure, like are they expecting someone to be like, oh, like we're all Delulu, or like what is that?
Why are you Delulu? Like, or like if it's a woman writing that, the last thing you want is for someone to be like, oh, I know you're all crazy. Like, I don't want to invite that.
Exactly.
So it's not a prompt. I'm sorry, I'm answering these way too long-winded, but it's not a prompt I would ever recommend. No. Okay, next.
All right, and then this one says, my biggest date fail, all of them. The reason why I'm here is this Hinge.
No, that's so negative.
Yeah.
So negative. Absolutely not. That's horrible. Also, I hate that prompt, my biggest date fail, because it's often, and I see this all the time, especially from men, it's often putting down somebody else. So it's like, she showed up and she was 50 pounds more. It's just so mean.
It is.
And so I don't like that prompt at all. Unless the date fail was because maybe you did something silly or funny or your pants ripped or something like that. But honestly, if you're on a dating app, don't tell people about your other dates. So I don't like that prompt.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, you didn't know what you were getting playing this game with me.
No, I love it. Like this is this is why you're here to help.
That's like what I've seen in people's profiles on Bumble, for example. They'll be like, how's my life going? I'm 47 and I'm here. So what does that tell you? That's just so negative.
It is. It makes people not want to swipe on that
Correct.
person. I agree. This is unhinged as fuck.
Also, I use that voice when I'm being a man or a dog. So, I only have one other people voice, and that's it.
Love it. All right. This last one. Last one is a doozy. So this one, worst idea I've ever had. Inviting my hinge situationship to Brazil, where he proceeded to use the trip I paid for to hook up with someone else he met via Instagram.
It just makes her look naive. I'm sorry. I don't like any of it.
After I blew up, it was still my fault for having expectations and that he lost her. Yeah.
That's a therapy session. That is not for a hinge prompt. It just makes her sound naive.
Yeah.
And like someone can use her to pay for trips. It's a terrible answer.
Yeah, I agree. This is unhinged. I know if I had saw this on an app, I wouldn't even like swipe on that person. I'd be like,
no way.
No.
No.
And also, like, why pay for somebody else's trip or vacation
well, that's what I'm saying.
when you're not
it
even?
Just sets you up and makes her look a little naive. Like, why are you paying for someone else's trip? Also, like, it's a little bragging about money. It's not good. It's not going to get her the results she wants.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. I feel like, maybe if you all are in a relationship, then sure, I understand that. But yeah, like just situation.
Oh, it's a funny story.
Yeah, it does.
It's a funny story to share, not on your app.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Unhinged. We don't like it.
Yeah. I had a date once. I saw out of the corner of my eye, he went on Bumble in the middle of our date. And I said, excuse me, what are you doing?
Wow.
And he said to me, well, you were talking to strangers at the bar, so I thought I could. And I said, because I was friendly to people, that's unhinged.
Yeah, that is very unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness.
Not good.
Date over.
Yeah, date over. But I was really hungry and we were having pizza and I didn't know what to do. So I ate the pizza and then parted.
All right, Erika, thank you so much for being here. This was such a blessing of an episode having you.
So fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for just bestowing all of this knowledge to our listeners, the daters out there. They're going to be so much better for it because of you. So thank you.
Yay.
Can you tell us how we can find you? Tell us your social media everywhere, websites. Sure. Let us know how we can get in touch and work with you.
Pretty easy to find. Everything is at A Little Nudge. So my website is alittlenudge.com. Any social media is at A Little Nudge. My name is Erika. I'm pretty easy to find.
Absolutely.
Google dating coach Erika. You'll find me. Erika with a K.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. And do you want to give our listeners one last little nugget of knowledge or just something that they should just take away with?
Oh my God, I've given so many nuggets. I don't know that I have any more nugs left. Yes, I will say on the topic of nuggets, something I made up once. It didn't catch on as much as I wanted it to, but that's okay. I'm going to say it anyway. I call it chicken nugget theory since you wanted an actual nugget. So many people are in this race to find out everything they can about this person in an effort to, quote, not waste time. Well, getting to know someone takes time. There's no substitute for time. So the analogy is you have your frozen chicken nuggets from wherever, Trader Joe's, doesn't matter. You could put them in the microwave and they will be serviceable. You will eat them. They will be soggy. You won't feel great. Okay. That's the equivalent of asking people really serious questions right out the gate to try to suss out their compatibility with you. Okay. Or you could bake them or put them in the air fryer, put it on for 20 minutes and you'll get crunchy, delicious, browned nuggets. that make your belly happy. Okay. That's the equivalent of getting to know someone over time. Now, in the end, turns out nuggets might not be your favorite food. That's fine. But you only learn that from doing them properly. And even if you spend time getting to know someone and turns out they're not for you, I don't think you'll regret taking that time.
Love that. Love that.
How's that for a nugget?
Woo, we love that. Go all the way the fuck off.
Yeah.
And to the daters out there, don't forget, like this episode should be a reminder that, you know, you're not alone out there. It happens to everybody. You know, dating in general is just tale as old as time.
True as it can be.
Yes, there we go. We got a little Broadway.
I told you.
Yes, we made it happen. Well, thank you so much, Erika. Really appreciate you. And the listeners, go to situationspodcast.com/submit to submit all your dating app prompts, questions, anything that you want answered on the show. And don't forget to call the hotline 312-586-2664. Leave a voicemail submission or email us situationspod@gmail.com. Now, whether you're on a boat, a plane, a train, hey, you can even be one of Erika's past unhinged dates. You can take Situations Podcast with you wherever you go. And with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Woo!
Woo! Barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly.
Yes.